All right, so for today we are going to talk about how to build interactive prototypes, and the main essence of actually prototyping your Figma design work is just to make the developers work easier and to actually convey your thoughts, like your ideas, how you want your mobile app to be able to interact. So the best way for you to actually just show, okay, when the user clicks on this, this is what should happen. When they click on this, this is how it should animate, or this is how it should move. So the best way to actually just do it is by using prototype. I know that, like, this over the class we've touched briefly on reviews like prototypes. I think very simple, very simple prototypes that we've done in our class, where we are trying to link two different frames together. Like, if you could remember this particular one, where we just try to link, when they click on this card, it takes them to this card. And they click on this, it takes them to this. So on this prototype, like you can see, when you click on, when you when you when you want to create a prototype, for example, and then you click on where you want to prototype, like where you want the interaction to be. So you want to be able to relate to a developer what will happen when a user interacts with any of this. So let's say you're trying to make an example with this particular frame. And once you click on it, you can see this pop-up that is showing you. So this is like where you are going to be doing your settings. And you can see where it's titled interaction. So by this trigger, means like, what is the action that the user has to perform for this to happen, for this interaction to happen. So do you want the user to click on this first before you see this interaction, or you want them to either drag or while hovering? So while hovering is, it works mainly on web design, or on a website, on a web frame, like either a website or a web application. Like if we have seen some websites where there are sometimes where just by hovering on a button, the button changes to a little bit bigger, or the color changes, or maybe if you like hover on a card and the card um gets bigger a little bit. So that's also a part of interaction. So you can also select this option of while hovering or while pressing. While pressing is just like also um while pressing can be used for mobile phones, when you can just, when you press, like, you're not clicking on it, you're actually just pressing on it, on that particular element, and you want interaction to happen, or key or gamepad. Then for this mouse enter, is as if you are clicking, yeah, by clicking on that particular element. The mouse, the mouse down. So these are different um triggers that you might want to set up for what you are trying to prototype. And this last one, that is after delay, is based on time conscious. That if you want an interaction to happen after a particular time, we use this after delay feature. Then for the trigger, for the action, it's just like what do you want to happen? It could be, once you navigate to the next page, click on this navigate. So you have to click the name that you want it to navigate to. But if you click on this, for example, so this back close on a cancel button. Like, the way you might have a pop-up and then you have a cancel at the top. So you want it that once they click on this button, it goes back to wherever it was coming. So that's the essence. That is what this bag does. So the bag is just for it to, once they click on it, it goes back to the most previous screen. Then scroll to also is the same thing as navigate, but is almost is like a little bit similar. Then this next one, open link, is for when you have a link, like you want it to lead to a web page or a web link. That is where you use this open link. Then an open overlay. This open overlay is, I have where I've used it before, but I don't know if I can trace it. But this open overlay is like the way you can, like on your mobile phone, like a pop-up. That is just what the overlay is. It's just a pop-up. So it can be on a web page. So it could pop up from the bottom of your page or from the left of your page. So the same thing with all this swipe overlay, close overlay, and every other thing that is there. So I cannot entirely go through all of these interactions, but I'll put us through in some of them. Then this particular animation is if you want it to be instant. Like I think I explained this a little bit. So if you want it to be instant, that means you want it to move directly to that frame, like without delay. But if you want it to smart animate, that means you want it to move maybe like within a particular time, or to move very slow or very fast, or like you want it to actually animate to a particular screen. So this option comes out when you delete your smart animate. So if it's instant, you don't have to set up like all these other parts. But when you click on smart animate, that is where you have to set up all these other ones that you have here. So this curve is like how do you want it to not animate? Do you want it to ease out, or you want it to ease in? Like some of us that used to design PowerPoint, I think PowerPoint have all these slide animation settings. So it might not be very new to some of us. But let us just try. I think we've done this particular screen before. But let us just try how this smart animates works. Let's say we have a screen here. Like this is a frame. What is a frame? This is a rectangle. Let's say we have a frame here. And then we want to kind of animate just something very simple. So we have a rectangle here. And then we have another rectangle. We have another rectangle on this screen. So let's say, for example, this is like a snippet of what is showing on the first page. And then the second frame is now showing an entire, like a bigger view of this particular first one. So I'm using different colors so that you can try to see how it's changing from this first rectangle to this second rectangle. So let us try to use this smart animate, for example. And then you want to link this first rectangle to this second. Like you want the user to be able to, once they click on this first rectangle, they can move to this next screen. So once you click on this rectangle, that's where you want to actually put that interaction. You see a plus sign here. So you click on a plus sign and direct it to where you want it to go to. So this pop-up will show. So this trigger is going to tell you what do you want the user to do, like what will trigger this action. So you can select if you actually want the on-click, or while hovering or however. So let us just check this on click and see how it is. Then you want it to navigate to this screen. So the screen is already populated there because you have directed it to this screen. So you don't even need to set this destination again. Then we are trying to use the Smart Animate so that we can see how the Smart Animate is working. Then we want it to be easy on ease out. Then let's set it to like 800 milliseconds. So this time is like showing how long it is going to take for it to get from this first screen to the second screen. So let's try to play this. So I'm going to show us something complex, but I'm trying to go through this first so that we can properly get the Smart Animate. So it won't be as if we are just going through different steps. So like we've set on our settings, it's only when they click on this particular box that something is going to happen. They click on like any other part on this screen, there will be no action, there will be no interaction, just only when they click on this. So when they click on this, so you can see how it's going. So let's try to change the time. Let's see if it's going to take a little longer. So it's taking a little longer. Let's see how this moving is going to be. So I'm trying to change the different animations so that we can get how each of them might work. So when we click on this moving, for example, see the direction, how do you want it to come in? From this direction or from this direction? So you can pick this direction and then still the same curve and duration. So let's see. So you can see now as we've changed how it's going to animate, the interaction have changed. Or we selected moving. So let's see how sliding or how dissolve is going to be. So for dissolve, let's just leave it like this and see. So you see the same, there's no much difference. Let's see how this push. Okay. So we can always still, there are different instances where each of these animations can be very useful. So, and if you don't want it to actually animate, you just want it to be instant, so you can just click on this instance, and then once you click on it, it's not going to animate, it just changes directly. There is no form of animation or anything. So this the essence of trying to prototype your design is just for the users, for the developers to easily like understand what you are trying to design, how you want your entire application to be able to interact from the very login to the the sign out or to the end of the application. So for today, I'm going to show you guys another way of also using this animation. So I hope I've explained the very basics of what we can the very basics of this particular of using animation. So let us try to see what we are going to remake right now. So you can see how these cards are moving. It's moving from how these cards are moving. One is moving, second is moving. It's just, I just use a simple animation to be able to um to be able to do this particular design. And you can see on this down part, if you see once you click on this, it moves to like this is like this section is for testimonials. Like on your when you're designing your website, there's some parts of your website where you want to show some testimonials, like trying to show credibility. So it's a very good way of designing websites, trying to improve your brand. You want people to be able to get trust your product. So one way of building the users trust is by showing testimonials either in your website or in your applications. So this section is just to show testimonial. And you can see on this animation part, on this section, it's showing that once you click on this, it moves to the next one. If you go back, it moves to the next one, or to the move to the previous one, like that, like that. So we are going to just go through how I was able to do that today. So let's try to duplicate this, and I'll try to remove all the animation that is on this page, that is presently on this page, so that we'll start from scratch. So let's try. So you can see that presently there is no animation. If I click on it, there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening on this part, so there's no animation. So let's try to remake this particular section of the page, where once a user goes to the landing page, you can see a little bit of animation. So there are usually different ways that you can create animations in your hero section. You can even use like illustrations, or you can use Adobe After Effects, or whatever you want to use. But the main aim of actually making your hero section to be as lively as possible is just to increase retention. So you want people that whenever they come to your website, they will be able to stay as long as they want. And you know, as they say, first impression matters. So when they see that your hero section is good and it's appealing, they want to know what's up with this product. So for this particular one, we are trying to move these cards, not all these cards that we have here. We're trying to move them to the right hand side one by one. And when they are not moving, it comes to how it was arranged before. And presently we have like 4 cards, this one, red one, and the blue one below. So that means you have to move the green one first, then move the red one second, then move the yellow one. So let's try to move it like manually. So you are going to pick the green one and then move it. So we want it, okay, so you can see how this thing is coming out, meaning that this particular one is not clipping, that we've not enabled this clip content. We are going to click on this clip content so you can hide whatever overflow that is happening. So let's move it to where you want it to actually animate to. So you want this card to move, this first one to move to the right a little bit. And the next action you want it to happen. So we're just trying to duplicate the cards here. We're not yet doing any form of prototyping. We're just duplicating each of the cards. So the next one is to move this red is to move this red card that we have here. So remove it manually. Sorry. Remove it manually until we get to the point where you want it to actually animate to. Then you stop there. So you can see this second one has gone. So I think this should be the last one. Then you move this yellow one. So these are the different screens, then frames that you actually want to show within a particular time on your hero section. So that is where you're not going to start using the animate. Before we use the animate, we have to make each of them a component. So like I said in our last class, you highlight all the elements you want to make a component. So because I don't want to make everything a single component, I want to make it a single that I can just start clicking each of them. Forget this name I called it. Okay, let us try to rename it. This card one. Because this component, so it shouldn't, it's taking the name from the previous components I created out of it. So I can just go to each of these cards and start making it a component, like each of them creates components. But because I don't want to waste time trying to click on each of them, I can just highlight all the same. Okay, let me just do this other three. Is on network. I can just select this other three, and on this three frame section, I can create multiple components. You want it to be able to make a component from each of these frames. So once you click on it, you can see that each of these frames, they are all different components. So I want to be able to like I explained variants in our last class. So the essence of variant is you want this to replace this, or you want this to replace this. So I use the button, the primary and secondary button, to make example of variants. So you want a situation where select component B to replace component A without actually going to that particular frame to change it manually. So that's the essence of creating everything to be a variant. So on this particular, in your right section, you can see combine as variant. So I think Figma has Figma has, you can read more about different terminologies on Figma from Figma websites. This variant is not easily you all cannot see my screen. Or like it's in my network. I think you can see my screen. Just comment on it in the comment section if you can see my screen. Let me know if it's even my network. Maybe you can't see my screen. I know it's raining, so many people can't see my screen. I don't know if I can try to share my screen again. Let me see if it's going to be better. How many people can see my screen now? Okay. Okay. I think it's better now. All right. So I don't know at what point that um I don't know at what point that but let me just go back a little bit so that I think what we're just trying to do is we're trying to make a duplicate. We're trying to make a duplicate of this particular frame so that we can be able to animate it. So what we're trying to do, if you watch when I play the prototype, is I want this first card to go to the right, the second card will go, the third card will go, then everything comes back and it starts afresh. So how I can easily achieve that is by animating the different screens. So I duplicated this particular frame into 4 parts. So the first frame is actually when the first card have left. The second frame is when the 2 cards, so you can see this red and the green below it. The 2 cards has moved to the right. And the third frame is when 3 cards, the green, red, and yellow has moved. So it's just the blue that is left. So we are trying to animate it so that this card 1 can move to card 2, can move to card 3, can move to card 4 within split seconds. So you can see this particular screen that we are trying to do. There is no animation presently on it. So there's apparently no animation this on this hero section. So we are trying to create a little bit of animation on this hero section by making this card to move to the right and coming back. So since we duplicated this card into 4 different steps, into 4 different parts, then it's now time for us to animate them. So on this prototype, okay, before we animate, we have to make all of these frames a variant, like variants of themselves, so that each one can easily stand in for the other one. So it's just like the way you have like identical twins. So you want one can stand in for the other one, another one can stand in for the other one. So that's the essence of using variants. As simple as that. So you want each of these frames to be able to show at a particular time. So you don't want like 4 of them to show at once. You want this first one to show, then the second one will show, and the third one will show, and the fourth one will show. So they are all variants of each other, like varieties of themselves. So for you to be able to make them a variant, you have to first of all make them components, like individual components. And you can easily do it by clicking on this frame section. See these 3 dots here? You can create multiple components. So you don't want to make everything a single component. You want to make each of them a component of their own. So you can easily just start going on each of the frame to make each of them a component. Or the simpler way to do it is just click on this create multiple components. And then each of them will just be a component of their own. And you can see that the symbol has changed, like I said in our previous class. that once it's a component, the symbol changes to this type of symbol to signify it's a component. So once you made all of them a component, then you can now make it variant. So you can see on this section, you can see combine as variants. So you combine as variants. Then now you can prototype. So you click on your prototype section. On this first one, you can see this plus arrow. This plus arrow is coming. So you click on it and drag it to where you want it to go. So unlike this one, we don't want it to actually, like we don't want the user to click before this happens, before this interaction happens. We want it that once they go to the page, let it just start interacting. So the only way we can do it is by using the after delay. So after a particular seconds or after a particular time, let this interaction happen. So how do you, how long do you want it to wait? Like, how long do you want it to, what's the delay before the action happens? So do you want it to wait for 800 milliseconds before this interaction happens? So you can change however time you want. If you want it to wait for 800 milliseconds, then this particular action will happen. So what action do you want it to happen? So you want it to change to this cartoon. Since you've already linked it, it's already the settings already done for us. Since we've linked it already, then what is the animation? So you want it to smart animate. You don't want it to be instant. You want it to actually take its time and animate. So what's the interaction? We can use ease in or ease out or any of them. It doesn't really matter. Okay, it matters depending on the style that you want. So how long do you want it to animate for? So let's just say we want it to animate for 500 seconds. So it's not that slow. So it's a little bit fast. Then we've done for this first card movement. So here we have 800 milliseconds. We want it to delay for 800 milliseconds. I want it to animate for 500 milliseconds. So you close this. So we've linked this first card to card 2. Now, for us to link card 2 to card 3, you go through the same process. You link both of them. And then you don't want it to click. You want it to actually be after delay. So the same settings we did for the first one. You want it to animate after a particular period of time. So how long do you want it to wait? It cannot be 800 milliseconds because the time that this first one is waiting, the time that this person is waiting to animate is also 800 milliseconds. So if you also put this one to be 800 milliseconds, they are going to be clashing because two actions are happening at the same time. So for you to avoid it from clashing, you have to put it at different times. And the best time for you to put it, you have to calculate, okay, it takes 800 milliseconds for this card 1 to move to card 2. And then it takes 500 milliseconds for this animation to happen. So we are going to do a little bit of mathematics here, even though Figma is not supposed to be mathematics. So let's say card 1 to card 2. Card 1 to card 2. You want it to delay. You have to make it to delay for let's say this is the delay. and this is the duration. Oh shit. Did I just developers mode? I don't want developers mode. Alright, so duration. So our first card is delayed for 800 milliseconds. And then our second card, no, the duration, we set it to take 500 milliseconds. So that is what we set for this first one. Let it delay for 800 milliseconds and let it take 500 milliseconds. So for it to move for us to set from card 2 to card 3, we cannot use the same delay of 800 milliseconds, because if we use the same delay, that means these two cards are going to clash. So we have to we want this particular, this next animation to happen after this first one is done. We want to take it one step at a time. So we want this first one it to happen after this first one is done. That is when the second animation will start. And the only way we can make it to happen after it's done is you check how long will this card take for you to complete the animation. And for you to know is by adding this 800 and 500. So it will take this first animation to happen. 800 plus 500, 13. That's 1,300 milliseconds. So you can either set this your second animation to start at this same 1,300, 13 milliseconds, or you can give it a little bit of space that it doesn't, so that it's not really jam-packed like that. So you give it time for it to breathe. You let it breathe before you can start the next animation. So you want this second card to delay for this amount of time, then your duration can still be the same duration, because that's the same time it's going to take to animate. So that's what I'm going to also do. So what is our first card? We've created it to delay for 800 milliseconds, and you want it to last for 500 milliseconds. So this our second card. You have to make it to delay after this first card have started. And from what you've calculated is 14 milliseconds. And then you still want it to animate for this same 500 milliseconds. It's fine. Then we have to go to the second card. And then we calculate. How long will it take the second card to complete? 14 plus 500. That's 19. So for us to do from card 3 to card 4, after giving it some space to breathe, it has to start at 2 milliseconds. That's after 2,000 milliseconds, it should start. And your duration should still be this duration. So we've done for card 1 to card 2 to card 3, then card 2, 14,500. So we've done for card 2 to card 3, then card 3 to card 4. That's this one. You have to start at 2,000 milliseconds. Then you start. So you want it to be after delay. Then when do you want it to start? 2,000 milliseconds. Change to, we've linked it to already. Say we want it to smart animate, and for how long? It can be 500. You can increase however you want it to increase. So let's even try what we've done. Let's even try what we've done. Let's even try it. So it's not animating yet because we've not brought out any like we've not used what we've animated on this our whole page. So like I mentioned in the last in our last class, once we are done doing all our whole this is also a way of adding properties. You duplicate one of it and then you bring it in. So one way of bringing it, you can just copy and then you paste to the place, or you can just take out this one and bring it in manually. So you can see this our icon here. This our icon is showing like a box telling you like this is an instance of this our amazing component. So let's see if something is happening, or if we have to go over it again. So it's, you can see that this particular one is going, but the cat does not want to come back. Let's work. So you can see that it's going, but we don't want it to just go. We want it to also come back. So that means on this place, when it has reached this last one, you want this particular card to start all over afresh, like to go back to the first one. There are some animation that might be doing that you want it to just end on this last one. But for this case, you want this animation to be reoccurring over and over again. You don't want it to just happen and stop. So if you want it to happen and stop, you can just end here. But if you want to go over the circle over and over again, you have to link your last component back to the first one. That's exactly what we're going to do. So we are trying to link card 4 to card 1. So we are going to use the same calculation. So to take from card 4 to card 1, how long did it finally take this our last guy? It took him 5 milliseconds. So how long do you want it to delay? That means we have to make it 6. So for us to link this guy back to this first one, we want it to after delay, and then it's 6. We want it to delay for 6 milliseconds and change to, so it's going back to card 1 and smart animate 500 seconds. So this is okay. So let's see. I don't know why I have to always play this again. So we can see after all the cards are going, the cards are finally coming back. So I don't know if maybe this 500 milliseconds is too fast. Whether we can slow it down a little bit so that we can actually see it moving. But it seems to me that I wish I could answer your question, but I cannot right now. So we want to let's try how this 1000 milliseconds will be. Before it was 500. Okay, let's see 800. So 800, 800. 116. So you want it to start in 17, then 800, 17 plus 800. See, I've done to mathematics. 800. We have 25, I believe. One seven to last 25, so 26. Want it to last for 800. 26 plus 2 8. That is 34. Then you don't have to calculate this thing like I'm calculating. You can look for an easier route. So let's see if it's going to be slower. Since we've increased the time from 800, from 500 to 800. Anyway, it's still okay. All right. So the next you don't have to calculate it from your head. So the next one that I want us to go through is this second part. On the second part, like I mentioned, yeah, when you click on this, the next one should show. So we are going to go through the same route, but this time around is not calculation. So you can see that sometimes where you will need calculation, but there are sometimes where you don't need it. So let us just try this with about four frames, so that, okay, since we use 4 here, let us use 3. That we don't. You can just change the title of this so that it's very obvious when we are changing it. Excuse me. So when we are changing it, you can easily see that it's changing. So we have Jumia, we have Spotify. Okay, so for this next one, we want a situation where if you click on this, let's rename this. Let's say testimonial 1. This is our first testimonial. This is our second testimonial. This is our third testimonial. So you want it to, when they click on this screen, on this arrow, it links to this. If they click on this, it links to, if they click on this, it links to this. They click on this, it links back to this. So it's just clicking. So like I said, it depends, like what do you want? How do you want the user to perform an action before a particular interaction happens? It's like what is this law of physics? Every action comes with a reaction. So when they click on this, what is going to happen? Or if you don't want them to click on anything, then we are going to use the after delay. So after this particular time, let this reaction start happening. So in this scenario, you want it is only when they click on this arrow. That is when this next one will happen. Sorry, we have to do the same. We make each of them a component. So you select everything, and then you create multiple components, like I said, combine as variants. I believe I don't have to explain this in detail. So you click on this arrow, and then you link it to the next one. So you want it to be on click, and then change to testimonial 2, since you've already linked it. Smart animate. Okay, let's use smart animate. then ease out 800 seconds, so it's fine. Then when they click on this, it links to this. When they get to here and they click on this, it links to this. So this particular one is not working with time because it happens after when they click. So the only time you have to set is how long you want the animation to last. And for this case, it's 800 milliseconds. Or you can even reduce it. So if you want it to be 1000 or 15, however you want it, is on you. Then we are done with when it's going forward. So when you now get to this last part, you want it to go back to this first one. So you link it back to the first one. And then on click as well. So you can see that this arrow is linked, this arrow is linked, this arrow is linked. But all these, the arrows by the left, they are not linked. So you can also link them up. So let's start from this one. When they are here, if they want to go back, they can only go back to this previous screen. That means you take them, if you link them back to the previous screen, and it's on click also. So when they are on this screen, it leads them back to the screen. And if you notice, when you set a particular animation and then you create a new one, the setting of the previous one comes to the new one that you are creating. So you can see the settings are still the same. You can see the on click is still the same, the smart animate, the ease out, everything, they are still maintaining the same settings. So if you need to change it, you can change it. So all the arrows are linked except this one. So when this goes back, it can go to this one. So it goes back to this. So let's try to see if we've gotten this testimonial part also. Okay. We've not yet linked, we've not yet gotten what we've used. So like I said, you make a duplicate of this, and then you can manually bring it in, or you can just copy and paste to replace. So I just paste to replace. So let's see. So you can see the Junior, this is Junior, this is Google. Let's try to go back to Junior. This is, I don't know why it's not shifting. I want it to slide in. Let's change is out. Moving. Why is this moving? Let's see. This in. See the same thing. What does this flow looks like? So it's the same. All right. I wonder why this moving is the moving is not allowing me to click on it. All this moving are not working. Anyway, okay. No, it's not giving me what I was thinking. I wanted it to slide in. I wanted it to slide in the way this one were moving. But I think it's happening because it's only one thing that is changing. It's only one thing that is changing. So if many things were okay, let's try and change the color and see. Let's try and see. Sorry about the visual. Maybe we can notice if it's actually sliding or not. This is a phone. It is not sliding. These colors are anyway. So I think we have gotten a little bit we've gotten a little bit of idea of how we can use prototype to make our work easier for our developers. So do we have any questions? This way I don't the components, use the components to copy to the main design, or you like frame, or you like the component instances. Use the component copy to replace on the main design. Components, you copy it, or you like frame, you like the component instance. I don't know, maybe we have to start getting used to asking our questions. I don't understand this question. Do you start relinking each card on the last one back to the card one? Did you start relinking each card from the last one? Which of the card? Is it the first one or the second one? From the last one back to the card one. From the last one. Please, who have patience? Okay, let's hear from you. Me can speak.
Okay, ma. Thank you. Please, can you go to the design? So why scrolling up on that page, the navigation bar, like that thing, that place that has the
This one.
that place, yes,
Like it was started.
yes, exactly, yes,
You have eyes. So you want to know how I made it started.
yes, yes.
Okay, I think let me try and duplicate this when it's not. Will I be able to remove the animation on this?
I have another question. Should I ask?
So you can even see. So you can see. You said
I said I have another question, so maybe I should ask
okay.
together.
Okay.
So when we were doing our first ever animation, we were using something like the clip content, that place that we that we did food, that design. We did animation, but if you want to scroll, everything that we want to scroll to, they are like inside the frame, clipped. So I'm wondering if, for like example now, you made them a component before doing all of that, but if we just duplicate that hero section inside that same frame, sorry, inside that frame, and clip it inside, I just like set the prototyping and all of that without do.
Honestly, I don't understand. But like, is it this film you are trying to talk about? This particular one.
You know that, yes, this one. So
Mm-hmm.
if we want to scroll to the other menu there
It's
of food,
left. Yeah.
exactly, everything we want to scroll to is inside, like that auto layer that is inside the frame.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if like for that ego section, now for that one that we are doing, what if we do it like this? Like just
Okay,
connect everything
this
on
one,
one of,
this one.
yes. You know, we have a
That
bullet
means you
point
want you to
here.
scroll now. Do you want to scroll? Because that one is scrolling,
Mm,
remember?
okay. Okay. So if we want it to be like this is the only way we can do it.
Yeah, this is the only way.
All
Come
right.
on away from it.
All right.
Okay. Um, okay, your question. So this your first question. So this one you can see currently is scrolling, like the header is scrolling with the parent. So if you want to make a particular place to stick, you just click on it and then you go to the prototype. So you can see this scroll position, scroll behavior position, scroll with parent. Now it's on scroll with parent. That means it's scrolling with everything. But you want it to be able to stick. So you can do fix fixed in place. That's fixed, that stay in place. But there are some situations where okay, let's try this one before we come to this sticky part. When you now play it now and then you are scrolling, so you can see is sticking, it's just fixed. But if you want to use this third one, you might not really need it for the because this sticky means stop at the top edge. So let's use it for let's bring back this our old one to scrolling page. Let's use it for this one. This is not a frame. Let's make it a frame, please. When we make it a frame, then we can most time when you want to put a prototype, it's easier. You have to make it a frame or a component. So for this one, we want to try out how this stick is going to be. So stick is stop at the top edge. So let's see. So you can see that it has stopped. So there are some situations where you want it to start scrolling first of all, but you want it to now stop at the top. So when you scroll, it stops at the top and then it's no longer scrolling. So these are different scenarios where you can use these positions. So now you've also spoken about this scrolling by the left. This scrolling by the left. Let's even scrolling horizontally. Let's even see how scrolling vertically is. You just, I think I was able to show only horizontal. So let's see how. So let's say, for example, our frame is oh shit. Our frame is very short. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this particular frame to be shorter than it is already. So our frame is already short like this. So definitely you want definitely I don't know let's focus on this. So definitely this means that there are some hidden content that are below. So you have to scroll vertical. So the first one was scrolling horizontal. Let's see how it is. This first one was scrolling horizontal, but then you cannot scroll up. But there are some hidden content that is below. So you're also going to use the same pattern. So just like we've made all of this in a frame, you have to make all of this content on your screen too a frame. So let's start from here to highlight everything. So you highlighted everything and then you have to make it a frame. So you can see that it's even showing that this is extending below this frame. So you have to now make a prototype. So you want it to scroll with parents, yes. But you want when it gets to the overflow, it should scroll vertical. So you put vertical. But it's seeing you that Figma is alerting you that for scrolling to work on this frame, the content needs to be bigger than the frame. That means you have to now bring this content. The same we did for the vertical part, you bring it to reach the frame. So that will make your overflow to be bigger than the frame. So when you now go to your page, you can easily scroll up. It's not getting to down because let's try to make it to get down. We need to kind of put a rectangle here. I got this thing. Where is that? Okay. This is what I used to do when I want the edge of something to show. Okay, let's see if this will work. Where's our rectangle? Let's see. So it's now coming up. It's now coming up now. So you can see that you can scroll both vertical and you can scroll both horizontal. I've already digressed from our today's class. So do you have any other questions? I used to have problem. I thought that was the work of the developer. Yeah, you can also make their work easier. So do you have any other questions? Or we perfectly understood? I think I saw someone saying you want this design. You can create your own design, anything, and try to prototype it. I already said I was going to drop icons for you guys. Was it TEFEM? There's a file that everybody has access to. I think I'll copy that file.
Hello, ma.
I think it's this one here.
Okay, can we have access to this your file?
No.
Even view access.
If you have your access, you already have access now. You can even duplicate it.
At least it will help us understand some things. When we click the screen, there are some things that is doing like plenty. When we click on it one by one, we'll now understand some things better.
Okay, I think this particular one, you guys have this TEFEM assignment. I think everybody has access to this particular this anyway. When you want to try it, should I copy this? I hope people will understand too. When you want to try it, you can try to undo whatever I've done so that you can try it from scratch, because this is after I've done it. So this particular file, I think I've shared it before. So many people have access to it.
Can you share the link again, please, ma'am?
And post here. Okay, so I thought I posted. Okay, so it's here. Okay. So are there any other questions? But today's work, today's class was so easy. If I bring complex one now, you guys will say like as if you are doing step by step. Like, shall you bring in complex ones? The persons that asked question, I don't know if you can unmute and the first animation, and I'm still sad. Did you start linking each card on the last one back to the card one on the last one back to the card one? No, I started from the first one to the second one. So it's from card one to card two, from card two to card three. I think I listed it here, card one to card two. See then. From card one to card two, from card two to card three, then card three to card four, then from card four back to card one. So I think I will leave the writing there so that I remind ourselves. Um, so like I said, these components you can I'm answering previous question. What was there before was not taking the properties of of anything that are creating on this component. So the only way you can link it is by, you can just copy from here straight up even. You can just click on one of the components and you copy and then you paste to replace. You copy and then you paste to replace. Or if you want to bring it in manually, you duplicate it. So once you duplicate it to be like this, then you can now drag it in and paste it in. So however you want to do it, there's no need for me to. You can just copy it here and paste to replace, or you duplicate one and then you bring it in here. So once you duplicate this one of them and then you just bring it in here, it's now taking the properties of everything that you've created on this component. I hope you understood what I was explained. So since we don't have any other questions, I think we can call it a day, right? Or a night till tomorrow. I think tomorrow is another day again. So it's always good to try out. We need to try out, like you need to go and always practice. You guys should always be practicing. That's what design is all about. You have to practice as much as you can. So in the absence of that, I think we can call this a night.